Alex, everything is broken. I don't.
Everything. The whole goddamn site is broken. What is going on?
The site's broken. My life is broken. I I woke up slightly late. I set my alarm. My alarm was set for daylight savings just fine. That all happened on Saturday night, and
Yeah.
then I have automatic alarms set on my iPhone. You know, they just are meant to. You know, it goes off weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
But like, if you so when your alarm goes off, if you swipe to the right or the left, like it has a different functionality. Like one of them removes the as an upcoming alarm, so I must have removed it as an upcoming alarm, which then
Huh.
removed the alarm that was supposed to wake me up on time this morning. So I got to
Okay.
sleep in. You know, I was just it was pretty nice. I guess I'll have to just file that off as an hour I took off of work.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. I mean, I don't use an alarm because my girlfriend gets up before I do because she actually has to travel out for work. So I just get up as soon as
Oh,
she does.
that's nice.
Um, that is nice. It is handy. But
Unless she wakes up late.
that never happens. She's like weirdly meticulous that way, which I appreciate about her. She is nothing if not like clockwork when it comes to that stuff. So
So yeah, we apologize to everyone for starting late, but then not only I would have just been 10 minutes
yeah.
late, and then, and then I went to go, oh, well, I'll go put everything up on the site. I'll jump in the shower quick, uh, and then nothing on the site worked.
Yeah. That's sort of the other side effect of what's going on here. Why does
Yeah.
nothing on the site work, Patrick?
Daylight savings time. It seems like
Yeah.
it messed up a bunch of publishing stuff, and then it's like it messes up the publishing stuff, which is set for Pacific daylight time, or I guess standard time, and then we have to set the hours differently because we're on different hours, and it's all broke. But it seems to work now. I don't know why. Like it, I went and launched the chat and set the promotional images for the front page of our website, just like I do every Monday and Friday, and for every feature I do, except that none of them showed up. And then I logged in and logged out, and then the site just deleted all of them, and I don't know why, but
Uh, God damn you on this day, GV Hudson, and your fucking infernal concept for daylight savings time. You have ruined everything.
I guess
Last
so.
time.
But as I was walking down for us to actually start the show, I did get a little gift in the mail.
Aw?
So
Aw.
I feel like this is what it was like, hey, Dark Souls is messing with my day. Dark Souls went into my phone, removed my alarm, and then broke the site.
That feels like something it would do. That feels like something From Software would conceive.
God damn. It all made sense when I'm getting ready to walk downstairs and then I hear a doorbell. I was like, that can only be FedEx because FedEx is the only one who shows up at this early. I was like, oh, FedEx.
What if Dark Souls 2? What if Dark Souls 2 is like the Ring videotape? Like, what if that game is so overwhelmingly fucked that it is actually cursed and fucks with your life the second the cartridge enters your home?
I bet there's no disc in here either. I bet it's
Yeah.
just that's
No,
like
just a bunch
that's
of
their
ghosts come out as soon as you open the box, and then it's just whoa, and everything's fucked.
well. Sometimes when you get press copies of games, they will clip this part of it
Yeah,
with like a little, I don't even know, what do you call those things? I haven't used one in
a
years.
hole puncher.
Yeah, a hole puncher. So that you can't like resell it, and then although if you were a dirtbag and did stuff like that, you could just send the disc. Anyway, the Dark Souls anti-piracy measure would probably just be to not include the disc inside the box.
Yeah. Do you want to know the honest answer of why they still do that?
Why?
Well, I mean, it's like you said, so people don't return it. But the reason people they do that is because game reviewers back in the day, this is like the 90s or whatever, would take those games around to stores like Best Buy or Walmart or Target or whatever, where you didn't necessarily have to have a receipt to return things and just get store credit.
Oh, you could do that?
You could. I don't think you can anymore. This was years and years ago. I used to know a guy who did it because he was kind of a dirtbag, as you
Gross.
described. Yeah. Like, he
I
would get
do.
tons of games that he didn't actually review. Like, he did review games, but the ones he didn't review, he would just leave unopened and still in the packaging, and then take around and go to Target and buy, like, dish detergent. It was pretty great.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got to admire the dirtbag nature of that. That's pretty ingenious. That's
Yeah.
that's gross, but that's on some level I guess way to go, man.
I mean, if you're sitting on like 6 copies of State of Emergency for the PS2 and you don't need 5 of them, I mean, that was his thinking. Was like, all right, well, I'll just go deal with this. Go trade them in. Which, yeah, still a total dirtbag move, but it worked for him.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I want to say that I heard about someone doing that. They like check your license, and then like you could only do it so many times. Maybe that's. I want to say. But that was when I was returning something for Christmas. But it seemed like they were like tracking like game purchases somehow, and I was like, that seems weird. And I think it's all because of that guy.
Probably,
yeah. That guy's making it tough for me to return my Christmas purchases because someone bought the wrong version of the game for me at some point.
Dirtbags everywhere, man.
So what'd you do this weekend? What did Alice tomorrow get up to?
Oh, what did I get up to this weekend? I went to see the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is a thing I do whenever there is a new Wes Anderson movie. I usually tend to go see it pretty quickly. It's very good. If you like madcap capers and the specifically Wes Anderson brand of tomfoolery and whimsy, it has all of that in spades.
Mm-hmm.
It is probably one of the least emotionally involving movies he's ever done. In terms of it's a wacky comedy, and like there is some character stuff in there, but it's mostly just about zaniness.
Okay.
But it does that exceptionally well. It is a very, very funny movie and weird in all the ways you like Wes Anderson movies to be weird.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's worth seeing whenever it heads out Chicago way.
I barely see movies in the theaters these days. The only movies I see in the theaters are like action movies that I need to that is really, really benefit action movies and like really, really good horror movies that I'm afraid of being. I guess maybe movies I'm afraid about being spoiled by.
Sure.
and are movies that I go to the theater for.
Grand Budapest Hotel, probably not a movie you need to be worrying about spoilers for, but it's very enjoyable. I also got Titanfall, as many of us did this weekend. Codes went around, and I know the embargo's in an hour or whatever, so I will refrain from reviewing what I played. But once the servers were finally up late on Saturday, I played through a bunch of Sunday, and I still enjoy it. It is still Titanfall. I still dig it. Did you get a chance to play any of that?
No. I on Saturday when that would have been an opportunity, I was spending. I spent my evening with my grandma. She turned 90, still kicking. So that was there was a family birthday party. Drink too much wine.
Happy birthday, Gammy.
Exactly. She only just gave up driving this year.
Oh wow. Okay. Was she doing well at it up to this point?
She was only driving a block total. Before that, she lives only a block away from my mom, but it was time to finally even give that up. But 90, that's
crazy.
Ridiculous. And then I spent Sunday really digging into South Park. South Park was my whole Sunday. Spent like 6 hours playing that. If Steam is right.
So you're playing it literally the opposite of the way I told you to play it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I started getting freaking out over stuff like this showing up, and I've got a review game that I'm playing Yoshi's New Island for review, and Donkey Kong fell by the wayside, and I'm starting to stress out about all these games, Alex. I'm leaving for a week for GDC, which means that's a lost week of ways to stay current. By the time I come back, that next Tuesday, Infamous Second Son's going to be out. I'm not going to be in any position to play that game.
Nope.
It's all a mess.
Shit's crazy. Hella games be coming out. But I do love the fact that we're going to have a review of Yoshi's Island, but we're not going to have one of Donkey Kong. That's great. That's a giant bomb way. Just random big misses with a lot of strange hits that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, we don't stick to any sort of schedule. If that's what you're that's what you're worried about, readers of Giant Bomb. And you know what? South Park, terrific.
Digging it?
Yeah, really. Probably should have set the game to hard. Is there a hard mode? Is there even a difficulty?
There is, I think, a hardcore difficulty. I didn't turn it on. I just went with whatever the default was. I
feel like now that I have discovered how bleeding works, I'm just breaking the game. I'm just not finding anything particularly difficult. I have these darts, like barroom darts.
Yeah.
And those attack can attack 3 different enemies. It stacks bleeding, and because of the buffs I've put on it, it does some real decent damage. and also does gross out, and those are two forms basically of bleeding that the game has. So I just spam that at the beginning of a battle and then just play it safe, and basically nothing can touch me. I'm sure I'll maybe run into a roadblock as I'm going along, but I sort of feel like I have found a way to make my way through this game pretty easily as long as I rely on that tactic as much as I can, which is I'm bummed because I'm enjoying the combat quite a bit.
Right. There's a lot of that's the thing is there are a lot of systems there. There are a lot of things you can play with and different ways you can approach battles, especially with like the different patches and buffs you can put on everything. I think I played through the game the first time as a thief because I don't know, I just kind of tend to do that in role-playing games anyway.
So wait, what changes? Because like they don't. One of the things that I wish the game had done when you choose the class up front. Like I chose the Jew just because I'm probably going to only play it once, and I wanted to see what they did with that humor-wise. But they sort of make it sound like the class doesn't matter.
It kind of doesn't. It's just different attacks and different styles of attacks. Like the thief, like almost all of his attacks do different types of bleeding damage. So that right there.
Oh, okay. If I wanted to break the game a little bit more, then
that extra makes the game like super easy. Like I blew through most of those battles, super. But there's just different attack types. Like you're playing as the Jew. Like there's the stuff like the jujitsu and the sling. Like the thief doesn't have anything quite like that exactly. So it's just difference in attack styles more than anything else.
Okay. Someone was actually mentioning in the chat that you can switch the difficulty at any time in the options.
We should do that.
Maybe, yeah. Now that I've said it out loud, what am I going to do? Not change the difficulty?
Yeah.
That would make me look like a real jerk. Not that anyone would know. No one would know. I could just say,
no one would know the difference.
The game got harder.
Yeah.
I lost a couple of times. I might give that a shot, though. If it is actually just changing it dynamically, then there's really no harm in shifting it up.
I only died maybe like 4 times the entire game when I played it. 2 of them were just me not getting certain mini games that thus resulted in hilarious deaths. I actually do recommend dying during those sequences because some of the gags they play off your death are pretty great. There's one bit, which I won't say where it is or what happens, but all I'll say is that if you fuck it up, it just cuts to credits, like straight up show credits, and then the continue screen pops up, and you're kind of like, oh fuck, all right.
Yeah,
they got me good on that one.
I made it without getting into the story stuff, but I made it through the first night. And so that's it feels like that's the first real chunk of the game, maybe the first third or the first half or something like that. You know what? The pace that game moves at, it's hard to tell if that's because they had to gut and cut so much stuff just to turn it into a game. Because you kind of get that feeling when you read interviews about the game, and what it was like under THQ, and then what happened at Ubisoft when they had like project managers come in and say, "Hey guys, come on, we need to ship this. This generation's ending," and so I don't know how it happened, whether it's intentional. South Park, in general, is a show or that its comedy is about brevity. Like it moves real fast. So it's hard to tell if gameplay-wise, like you getting all these items and all this stuff, it was meant to happen as quick as it is. But I think it works wonderfully well. Like I love having way too much stuff, and I'm constantly switching up my gear, and it's changing my tactics a little bit, but not like completely. Changing exactly what I feel comfortable with, but it still makes you kind of feel a little bit on your toes the whole time that you're playing.
Yeah, it's the role-playing game for the sufferer of ADHD, which I do, and I sort of appreciate on a certain level, like the notion that, okay, I'm going to use this gear for maybe like a half dozen battles, and then something else will come along, and I'm going to end up using that, and then, it just, like you said, it feels like it doesn't have any extraneous bullshit in it, which I appreciate very much. If that game had, like, even like a third more battles than what it has now, that combat would get tedious. Like as it is, it moves quickly enough and it gets you through battles quickly enough that you get there long enough just to understand the jokes, to appreciate the jokes, and then you're on to the next thing, and there aren't like a million random battles you have to deal with unless you're walking around the Lost Forest, which fuck that shit.
I've not gotten there yet, but I do like that
Okay.
the like loading screen is constantly warning me about it.
Yeah.
And but I do like some of the ways they handle the random encounters that do appear across South Park, which is the area I'm still in. I haven't left the greater South Park area, and
Yeah.
like when you're walking around town before you have entered a battle, you can interact with the environment in a couple of different ways. Those change as the game goes on, but one of them is that you can throw your projectile. Is that true for every class? Could every class throw something?
Yeah, I mean that's
Okay.
the projectile weapons are there for everyone,
Okay.
and you can use all the different ones as you earn them. I think I mostly relied on ninja stars and giant hubcaps that I was throwing at one point. Those were my chosen one. But I mean you get all the same basic uh, equipment and combat varieties that you do with any given class. It's just the only difference is the types of special attacks and abilities that your classes it comes along with.
Okay. But
Yeah,
I do like that you can toss the dart, and if you're leveled up enough, if you're high enough level, you'll just kill the enemy,
yeah,
and then you'll get the experience, and you can move on, which is basically the game's way of having other types of mechanics that RPGs have, where either when you encounter the random battle, the enemy just straight up dies or runs away. In this case, you just kind of pelt them with darts, and then they just fall over. You get the
yeah.
experience, you get the items. The environmental stuff, I think, is handled pretty well. I think that stuff's pretty neat. There are opportunities where you can take out the enemies that are more powerful than just hitting them with the darts. But you have these dumb fart powers, which is probably one of the like. It was funny the first time, and then like
hmm
they sort of run that joke into the ground in a way that I don't think is
Oh, they're nowhere
justified.
near done running that joke into the ground, by the way. So just be prepared for that.
Okay, maybe it's just I'm not a fart joke guy, but like it was kind of funny the first time, and then the fact that I have to do this one mechanic over and over and over again,
Oh, there
it's
are
just
more
like,
fart mechanics coming. There's more
okay,
than one fart mechanic.
I
There
have
is there is
to.
a weird variety of fart mechanics.
All right, well, though it's those sort of jokes that just don't do anything for me, and I understand that they're just a part of South Park, even
Right.
if they don't like when you're going around the town and you open you can open most doors, and there's a couple of doors where it's just like the guy jerking off or a dude having sex with a horse. Like, it's not funny. Like, it's just random. Like, and it's not even that shocking either. Like,
No.
it's just boring. Like, and especially given that I think a lot of the game is pretty funny in the South Park sort of way of lampooning, hate speech, which is basically Cartman's character,
Right.
and things of that nature. I realize, maybe part of it's got to be that, hey, they've got to fill so much of this game. It's like a lot of jokes that not all of them are going to hit. But, like, when the dude's just having sex with a horse, like, just shut the door. Like, I don't need, like, just don't even have a joke there. If the joke's that bad, then just don't even put one there. But, I think the game hits more than it misses. And when it hits, it's usually about, something a little more interesting than like the cheap shot of
Yeah.
of the dude having sex with a horse, which is
Yeah. The
just it's not funny. I
the,
guess.
the incidental gags are not where the strength of the comedy lies. Like you said, like walking in on that stuff, it's just sort of like a huh. And that's really about all you get out of that stuff. But I mean, I also don't find it that bothersome. It's like, okay, well, if they just really want to fill out the world and just have something behind that door, fine, that's there, whatever. If they're really going to invest in the idea of farts as magic and really, kind of keep this going, for a very long time, I at least appreciate their dedication to the gag, if nothing else. But like you said, the majority of the comedy is in the written stuff, in the stuff that you're participating in pretty actively. The occasional dumb poop fart or weird bestiality joke kind of tossed in there for no reason doesn't necessarily, I don't know, I think impact the grander scope of what they're doing with that game, which I think is surprisingly good at delivering like just rapid fire comedy that works.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, the moments where it does really work are where it becomes so clear that they are game fans.
Yeah.
There is a, I don't want to be vague. There's a sequence involving audio logs in which all the stuff that we talk about that doesn't work about audio logs and how cheap they are as a storytelling mechanic for most games, they hate that stuff too, and they do a really, really, really good job of having something in their game and just having a really good reason for it to be there.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that that I think really sets the game apart, especially when you start talking about like a licensed game.
Yeah.
It's just things that couldn't be in a South Park game unless they were writing it and directing it. It's an incredibly personal game as much as it is, a South Park game, which I guess South Park is. South Park is essentially a largely a reflection of those guys and their views. But I think the stuff like that, really hits close to home as someone who plays games, where it's just when they skewer it, it's like it's an outsider perspective, but it's an insider because you're playing a game, and I don't know, it's very satisfying. I thought.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what you say. I mean, I think you'll agree with this still, but I imagine when they start riffing on the annoying preponderance of Nazi zombies, I imagine you'll probably agree with that bit as well. And I'm also curious to see what your reaction is to the Canada section, which I will not describe in any detail here. I will just say that is probably one of my favorite parts of the entire game. And also probably the most demonstrable of their love of and appreciation for video games in that section. So I'm very curious to see what you have to say when you get there.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I might have to just bury that copy of Dark Souls like in the dirt, because I really like. I managed to finish Danganronpa. I finished that over the weekend. I closed the case on the kids being trapped in that school and having to kill each other. And I thought actually I really can't go into what happened because the entire game is about its storyline. But I will say it had a fairly satisfying conclusion for something that premise-wise is pretty out there.
Mm-hmm.
Although these escape games are pretty common at this point. And if you look at that game a certain way, it's really just Japanese Saw. And if you look at it as Japanese Saw, the teddy bear and all that stuff really make a lot more sense, and probably isn't that different than a dumb clown doll instructing people that they need to kill each other. And it's the same as 999 and VLR in that I'm impressed at games that are capable of starting with a ridiculous premise and finding a pretty legitimate way to explain it, at least within the logic of their own universe. If I was to sit here and just lay it out, you'd probably laugh. But in the context of like playing the game, understanding the characters, their motivations, how everything sort of arrives at its own conclusion, like it works surprisingly well, and I find that to be half of what's impressive about some of these games is the way they start at, well, this is just going to be dumb, and then it's like, well, when you say it, it's dumb, but it makes sense within the game, and I find that pretty impressive to be able to pull something like that off.
So how many truth bullets did you fire over the course of that game?
A lot of truth bullets, and eventually you get over that stuff. I think it's a pretty lame name for what is essentially evidence. But that's I'm gonna try and write a review of that game this week. I'm pretty deep into Yoshi's New Island, so I think I can find time to do both. But that's, if I have any grand critique of that game, it's that it tries too hard to be a game when it would probably be better served just letting the story play out.
Right.
It tries far too hard to let the player have agency in a game that is extremely linear, and every time it tries to pretend otherwise, it's frustrating because you're very limited in what you can do as the player, and the game is really guiding you along a very specific path, and when you go off that path, it just slaps your wrist in a frustrating way.
So it might have been better served as more of like a visual novel type thing than something, as plainly interactive as it tries to be.
Well, what it does is like it has a linear story and yet allows you to choose wrong options, which is fine because it's using that as its puzzle mechanic, right? That's the puzzle gameplay. And the other visual novels I've played, chiefly 999 and VLR, those are separate. Like the puzzles are the puzzles, and then the conversations are the conversations. Like you can't screw up the conversations. Like when you screw up the conversations, maybe it triggers a death or an ending, but you're not piecing anything together in the conversations. You're just enjoying those for what they are. Whereas in this game, the conversations are where you are figuring out logic puzzles and things like that. And I don't think it worked particularly well, and as a disservice to the story. But there's apparently a sequel coming this fall. The little I know about it is that there is it's same world, different characters, which is a little disappointing because the cliffhanger that the game ends on, and I'm not going to talk about what it is sort of beautiful in its ambiguity, and I really, really liked that about it, and that would be, but it leaves all sorts of holes for a sequel to address in a way that I think would totally cheapen the ending that they go for, because the ending they go for is kind of ballsy in what it doesn't tell you, and it seems like those are all sorts of things a sequel would address. So maybe that won't be the case, but I did really like how it ended, and we'll. Cool. I will at this point. I will probably play the second one. I want to, even if they're gonna ruin the ending they made, I have to see where it goes from here. And if you are a fan of those types of games, I would recommend this one as well. I did enjoy it, but I'm glad there's no teddy bear yelling at me anymore.
Yeah, that's probably ideal. Well, I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts on that as well. Now, somewhere in between all of this, are you going to play some Titanfall with the rest of us?
Yeah,
week?
no,
Okay.
Now that I've got my visual novel out of the way,
good.
Titanfall is like you can jump in and play really quick. Like it's
yes.
I intend that to be my sort of like filler game. It's like, well, I'm gonna play South Park for an hour. It's like, okay, I got enough of that. Play some couple matches of Titanfall, and like, oh, I'll play Dark Souls. Like, well, I'm stuck on this boss. Like, Titanfall seems like a good way to. I know these robots are gonna die in Titanfall, so that seems like a good way to sort of measure out my frustration with a game like Dark Souls. But these types of games like Titanfall is a very well made iteration on Call of Duty, but it's also not a complete reinvention of that formula.
No.
So I'm not expecting this game to grab me any more than any of these other games have grabbed me for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I could very easily see myself in a position where I play it, every night for like a month, and then I kind of forget about it after that. And I would actually be okay with that because it seems like the kind of game that will be really fun during that period of time, that will be super enjoyable, over the course of that period. But then it also, we'll leave it at Jeff will have a piece up in the next 40 minutes or so that will explain a lot of the details of that game and where it works and where it doesn't. So I will refrain from throwing too many criticisms out there. I will just say that I had fun playing this weekend when the servers were working, which was not always.
Yeah.
And that is something that I am hopeful that is just them getting their maintenance out of the way and getting everything ready for people to play full on once the game launches. But over the course of the weekend, it was not real consistent in its functionality. And granted, there just weren't a lot of people playing early on, and when there's not a lot of people playing that game, it is real limited in what you can do with it.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to see how this. I didn't even realize that the game had a campaign mode, which I know the campaign is just some story stuff linking together the stuff that you just do in multiplayer. But I didn't realize there was a campaign mode that
there is,
they put in there.
And it's multiplayer still, so it is. But also I could not get into any campaign matches while I was playing this weekend, which again. Well,
I imagine it's all game reviewers playing right now, and things of that nature, and I bet those people are more interested in shooty with one another than that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of games coming out.
There are a lot of games coming out, and I want to play most of them, which is sort of depressing and stressful all at once, because it's like I know I'm going to have to leave certain things behind. Sorry, Dark Souls, I'm never going to probably play you because I have too many other things I want to try.
Is what comes out in April?
There's a couple of things, if I recall correctly.
Like, is April going to be a catch-up month? Like, I'll hold my breath.
Well, April's going to be all the stuff that didn't make it out in time for the end of the fiscal year, so it's probably going to be a little February-like in that I imagine it will not be a lot of really good stuff, but there will be some stuff.
So we've got Arkham Origins Blackgate.
Yeah.
To every other platform. I don't even know if that game's any good, so I guess that's a question mark.
MLB The Show, which is reliably very good if you like baseball.
Nope.
Well, there you go.
Daylight. Daylight, that's coming out.
Also, The Elder Scrolls Online, April 4th.
Well, sure. I guess that's coming out.
I mean, it'll exist.
I'm going to install it.
Yeah.
I would install it. I will play.
Game that will come out.
I will play I will play like a day of Elder Scrolls. I want to know. I've never really played an MMO. Maybe that's the time to jump in and give one a shot for like a week. I don't have any interest in playing it though. It looks like it doesn't look very good.
It doesn't, and no one I've talked to who's actually had like hands-on with it has come away with like particularly great impression of it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll all just come together in the end, as sometimes those games tend to. But I don't have any high hopes for it.
At the end of this month, Shovel Knight comes out on the 31st. I'm really looking forward to that, actually.
I played a little of it a long time ago, and I remember really, really liking it. So
it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that's more or less April, but even if it's March 31st. But I am looking forward to that. Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, Dark Souls 2 comes out on PC, but I should hopefully have been finished the PS3 version by that.
You would think.
I don't even know what Disney Magical World is. What even is that?
I have no idea. What is? Wait, is that a game?
For 3DS. Disney Magical World features dozens of Disney characters in a variety of Disney-themed worlds. Players can customize their characters with hundreds of Disney-themed outfits and accessories, all while managing a cafe. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Final Fantasy: Realm Reborn comes out on PS4. NES Remix 2. And then at the end of the month, probably the game I'm most interested in that month, Child of Light, but that's April 30th.
Yeah, that is a game I'm very much looking forward to. You saw that co-op trailer that came out on Thursday or Friday, right?
Yeah, that game just looks gorgeous. I am interested in seeing more of that. But yeah, okay, all right. Well, April seems pretty manageable. Oh, people are mentioning Metal Gear. Yeah, but that's gonna take what, like 2 hours of my time?
Yeah, two and a half probably.
Zing. When does that come out? March 18th.
Soon. Yeah.
March 18th.
That's 8 days. That's soon.
That's pretty soon. I do not want to pay $40 for that.
Yeah. I think they bumped it to 30, didn't they? I want to say there was a story where they said they bumped it to 30 at retail because so many people were like, "That's really expensive for a game that's 2 hours long, dudes."
You know what? I'm not going to pay $30 for that either.
Okay. See, that's fair. I just want to make sure we got the numbers right more than anything else. But yeah, that's still a fair point.
All of that is like, if I blink and it's $10, then I think you've got me. But
I'm really looking forward to see what people have to say about that game.
People are probably gonna like it, but you know, have some respect for your wallet.
Yeah, fair enough.
I still need to play The Last of Us DLC. I need to track down a copy of The Last.
God, I haven't done that either. Ugh. I should probably do that this week before everything just becomes all fucking higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah, it was already spoiled for me, but that's okay.
That's not a thing where I'm really worried about spoilers necessarily so much as I just want to experience it, so.
Yep.
Video games.
Yeah, so that's all I played this weekend.
Yeah, that's all I played this weekend.
Oh.
That was a giant backhoe outside my window that is going to probably start digging things really loudly, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I wish I could talk about Yoshi, but I can't. I can talk about it on Friday. The review, I think, is Thursday. The embargo is Thursday, I think.
Okay. Looking forward to seeing what you have to say about that, considering the amount of yang that we have talked about that game's visuals and other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, visuals are definitely super important to a game who says it's going to invoke Yoshi's Island. That is definitely for sure. Well, there's also if you want to start dropping questions in the chat, there's not a whole lot of news.
No.
So I'm trying to see what I pulled up that Sony is going to be having a GDC session they just added with Shuhei Yoshida, Richard Marks, who is the senior director of Sony's R&D department.
I always get really sad when people mention Richard Marks and it's not that Richard Marks.
No, not quite. And Anton Mikhailov, sure, senior software engineer, Sony R&D. The rumor is the tagline for the panel is "Join Sony Computer Entertainment for a presentation on innovation at PlayStation and the future of gaming." It seems like you wouldn't have Shuhei Yoshida there if it was just going to be like, hey, let's talk about some updated drivers and libraries for the PlayStation Move on PlayStation 4. The hot rumor is that they're going to have VR there, and they're going to show the first details on their VR kit, which, where there's smoke, there's fire, and it seems like, Sony is actively working on something. I have not done any digging into it, but enough people that I know have been hinting at things on Twitter that it does seem like something could very well be imminent, and this may be, GDC seems like a good time to show that off. Where you can, because it's GDC, you can get away with showing a little bit and not too much, and no one really criticizing you for it.
Yep.
I believe at GDC years ago, that's also where Sony unveiled the Move for the first time. They had an off-site thing at GDC. It was not very impressive because they didn't really have much to show for it. The Move's not a controller that really ever came into its own. It always felt like a very Me Too device in response to the Wii. Johann Sebastian Joust continues to be the only reason to own it, and that game's not even out yet. So I'm curious. I definitely want to see what Sony's got. If let's go ahead and assume this is VR, because I can't imagine what else it would be, unless it is going to be just a presentation that.
The Move 2.
Yeah, man.
Equal to the Move. Come on, you're excited for that, right?
That would be underwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what they would do to differentiate themselves from Oculus Rift, or if they won't. And the way they'll differentiate it is through, like, hey, we're a proven hardware manufacturer that can do developer support. People seem very happy with working with Sony, especially on the PS4. So, I'm curious to see how they approach it different than the Oculus, because the Oculus has mostly been like, hey, we're working on this technology, we're trying to get it right, we'll worry about the consumer stuff as we get there.
Yeah. Which
is not how companies traditionally handle that stuff. Like, Sony is going to have to show this is a product, not just something out of the labs that, haha, let's see this wacky stuff we've been up to. Although I think that would be awesome. I would, as much as I'd like to see Sony's VR stuff, I would much rather just see an hour-long presentation of aborted R&D projects that didn't work out.
That would be super interesting, actually, yeah, because I imagine there are a lot of really weird things that never even got to the presentation stage. But I've been excited by the idea of this Sony VR thing since you and I started talking about this, however many months ago, and I hope that's what it is, and I'm looking forward to it. That said, if that is what it ends up being, and they actually have a product that is on the way toward being done, I will be super bummed if somehow Sony manages to get a VR product out there before Oculus even has a chance to make a product.
Yeah.
I've been sitting around on that thing for so long now that I just, it would be a real bummer if someone came around and lapped them.
I think whatever Sony does isn't going to work on the PC.
That's fair. It could. Someone will probably make it work on the PC, but it won't be designed for it necessarily.
Yeah, it's the same way the DualShock 4 works on a PC, but people are using or having to backwards engineer, libraries and using stuff that people have already developed for the 360 controller, which had an official driver for the PC. So yes, there will be ways that people could use Sony's hardware and make it work on the PC, but it'll never be an official device that is meant to work on the PC natively, and that's what the Oculus is going to be. So for me, I like Oculus. I'm rooting for them. It's cool they're an upstart, but I also want to play this stuff.
Yeah.
And competition is good, and if Sony drives Oculus to work harder to make their stuff better, if it puts VR in the hands of more people, which means developers have more people to sell these games to,
Mhm.
I think that helps Oculus. I think Oculus is going to dominate the PC side of things, especially now that Valve developed their own freaking tech, but has no interest in distributing it. They just wanted to know how it worked internally with their own stuff, so they can get Steam ready for it. I think the tables are set. Whether this stuff is going to pan out in a mainstream way still remains to be seen. I am confident that my own experience showing it to people, it is different. Things have changed enough that people are interested and don't look at this stuff as a joke, at least once they've played it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of actually selling it that is going to be, what exactly we need to figure out.
Right. Well, then maybe we should start taking some questions from the chat here, since we got a bunch coming at us here, I think. Marty 20K asks, has any of the Giant Bomb crew gotten into the Chroma Alpha? I haven't. I have not had a chance to start playing it yet, so I have no opinions on it yet. But I believe Drake is passing around some alpha codes. Patrick, if you want to get in on that at some point.
I just got a text from my wife that it sounds like it's warm enough outside that it's going to start turning into a swamp in our living room again if I don't look at that pretty soon. We're okay right now. But it's flooding part 2. Flooding might be happening in Chicago again. It's getting unseasonably it's getting now seasonably warm.
Right.
I shouldn't say unseasonably.
It is here too.
It is unseasonably given the weather we've had.
Right.
It is supposed to be like lower 40s for this time of the year. No, I have not tried Chroma, but I am looking forward to. I want to just sit and hold a button that fires grenades on rhythm, so I'll have to install that and at least check it out.
Yeah, I'm probably going to mess with that today, so.
Let's see. Space Bob, over-under on Titanfall servers staying up tomorrow. I don't know. Obviously I don't blame people for being reluctant given EA's history and the fact that Battlefield 4 remains in many ways still a mess.
Yeah.
Despite how far we are from that game's release. But, it sounds like Microsoft has been bending over backwards to get the Xbox One in place, to get, they put out a firmware update for the controller for Titanfall. So, I believe that's much more on Microsoft than it is on EA to make sure that Titanfall is ready to go and operating. I'm not a network engineer, so I don't know. But if there ever was a game for Microsoft and EA and to have their shit together on, Respawn seems to be it. Like the amount of buzz behind this game, the amount of interest people have in it, like this really feels like the moment where next gen kicks in to another gear. So you would hope that they don't mess that up.
Yeah, you hope they don't break the clutch in the process. There was. The one thing that I consider relatively hopeful is the fact that when they started doing that beta a few weeks ago, like within a couple days, they're like, all right, fuck it, let's just open to everyone and let's try and break this thing. That's the kind of behavior you want to see out of people that are really trying to make sure an online game works at launch. And by all accounts, it sounds like they were able to make that game work relatively well, even with the mass audience flooding in and playing it. So. I'm hopeful that with all of that and all of the time they've spent on this, that they will have a game that works. Because if that game doesn't work at launch online, there's really not anything else you can play with it. It's not like there's a single-player campaign you can just kind of jump in there and play if the online is broken, because that's what the game is. It is the online, and if that doesn't work, there is no game, period.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true. Some people, a couple folks in the chat asking me about the Dark Souls 2 graphics downgrade. I do not know what you're talking about, unfortunately. I know that people have been talking about the Watch Dogs graphics downgrade, which I have not looked at that too much either, but I know that people have been looking through old trailers versus new trailers and feeling like the game's been visually changed as a result. Dark Souls 2, I don't know. I've been avoiding a lot about that game. The only stuff I've looked at are the trailers we put up on the site, and when I participated in that Dark Souls 2 discussion with the other guys a month or two back. So, I mean, I'm going to pop in the game. I will definitely play some tonight, and if for some reason I notice something, I'll mention it once the embargo is up for the game, which I don't know the specific embargo, but it's probably midnight tonight. That seems like
You would think.
that
Yeah.
seems like probably, but I don't know for sure. But I'll take a look. Some people in the chat are mentioning that sounds like there was a lighting change, but I don't know. I do not know. I will let you know if I see anything when I play the game, though.
Fair enough.
Eternal Vigil says, after reading the article you linked to about the recent history of Irrational, he's talking about Chris Plant's story. I wanted to ask, why doesn't the game industry have unions for game developers? That is a good question. That's something that's been raised a number of times. Why the games industry doesn't adopt more of a Hollywood sort of formula, which is where developers are contracted and brought in to work on projects, and that the expectation is that you'll no longer work at that studio afterwards because you've just been contracted for that project.
Right.
But as a result of a union, you are protected and you have benefits, and things are worked out so that even though you're moving from project to project, there is stability in that, as opposed to what seems to be happening a lot in the current volatility of the games industry of you go to work at a company thinking you're safe, and then you get laid off, and then your life is temporarily wrecked while you try and figure out what happens next. It does sound like the Irrational folks are getting taken care of. The Polygon story, I believe, insinuated that everyone was being very well compensated. Whatever that means, I don't know, but you would think that implies extended health insurance and salary for a period of time while they try and work out a transition. But the union question is one that's come up before. It's very complicated, but
Extremely.
As someone that also watches politics as sort of a side hobby, unions are not super popular right now, public or private sector unions. So to get everyone behind the idea of a union, even though in principle it is something that it's not, if you were to describe unions without using the term union, I think most people would get behind the idea.
Sure.
The idea, the term union has become somewhat toxic with various budget issues in states and at the federal level. So I think unions make a lot of sense. I'm not sure how you feel, Alex, but I think it's a long road to get there for sure.
Yeah, it's a long road for a variety of reasons. I mean, like you said, it's super complicated, and it's not just a matter of all game developers getting together and forming a union. Like, there would have to be a variety of different unions for different disciplines. There would be an artists' union, a sound designers' union. There would probably, be VFX artist unions. It would just there's a lot of different facets to game development that would probably all have to fall under different banners. And because of that, and because it would be a contract situation most likely, and not people working at studios, and because the game development industry is not in any way centralized, you would have a lot of people that would be working on a project, going to a studio, and then not have anywhere to go after that necessarily. They have to travel around a lot, theoretically. Which isn't to say it can't be worked around, it can't be done. I think that there's a lot of benefit potentially to the idea. It's just that, a lot of people like the solidarity you get when you work for one studio and you work on multiple projects with the same people in one location. It's obviously a lot easier to have a family when you have one place settled down where you can have roots. So I mean, it's just not as cut and dried, or game developers should unionize because working for publishers sucks. Yeah, it does, but that also means that you have to completely revamp the way game development works for the sake of creating this new structure. And I think that a lot of publishers are very reluctant to mess up what they have going right now. And I think that there hasn't necessarily been like a strong voice or a strong movement toward making that happen up to this point. It's there are people who are obviously dissatisfied with the current structure as it exists, but there hasn't been like a real revolutionary wave toward that up to this point.
It's and now we're getting into a lot of like complete conjecture.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
it's hard to imagine there being a significant movement to change how it's structured unless we were to go through some sort of horrendous video game crash.
Right.
The part of the reason that you mostly just get people feeling like this would make sense, or that this would be better for the games industry is when we get these strings of stories, basically once a month, if not more often, of the developers either getting shuttered or teams getting laid off. It happens consistently, but it doesn't happen all at once. And in order for change to occur, it really feels like there would need to be a flashpoint.
Yeah.
And in order for that to happen, you need things to get really bad. And there are certainly still strains of theories that the console industry is still not particularly healthy, and that it's possible that it may not all pan out. And let's say that does happen. Maybe if the industry wasn't able to support a full transition to this current generation, maybe you would see the kinds of mass layoffs that would instill people an idea that we need to have a different way that this works. But I think until you saw some sort of mass crisis, it's hard to imagine getting enough people pissed off that they would want to enact mass change. And that just doesn't seem likely when it's every couple of weeks, a studio or a team being shuttered. As horrible as that is, and as indicative of an unhealthy sort of health for the video game industry as that might be, it doesn't seem like that's enough, because those people mostly just want to go find a new job.
Yeah, that's 100% correct.
All right, well, I think that's probably going to bring us to a close on a show. What are you up to this week?
I don't entirely know yet. I'm actually going to spend today kind of plotting some things out for the rest of the week. But if you check the site, there's my recap of the last week's episode of The Walking Dead up on the site now, and also an Encyclopedia Bombastica video for Ultimate Muscle that went up on Saturday. I haven't had a chance to check that out yet. Anime wrestling. We're anime editors now, Patrick. We do things about anime now. That's all we do.
I've infected you.
It's horrifying.
And so I'm gonna be playing Binding of Isaac in probably, assuming the site works and I can play it in 45 minutes. So we'll do that today, and then I'm focusing on finishing Yoshi's New Island. I'll have a review for that on Thursday.
Cool.
I might be planning something with someone else who's a huge fan of Yoshi's on the site.
Mm-hmm.
For something to go alongside that review on Thursday. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
I will try and write. I plan to write a review for Danganronpa this week as well. So those two, and then I'm playing Dark Souls, and I got this interview with Derek Yu with Spelunky that we did, and we talked a lot about Dark Souls. He played Dark Souls after Spelunky and found a design companion in that game. But I need to find time to somehow write that, in addition to figuring out my GDC schedule, because I leave for GDC on Saturday.
Oh God, that's soon.
I know. So I got a lot going on this week, mostly just kind of scheduling myself, but do have a lot of things I want to write as well. So that'll be my week, and then we'll be back on Friday. I doubt we'll do shows during GDC, but maybe we can do check-ins or something when I've got some spare time at random points during the day. We'll have to think about that and talk about that and see if we can figure out something.
We'll figure something out
in San Francisco. So that'll do it. Alex, I will talk to you on Friday.
Ow!